Welcome everybody to Behind the Podcast with your host Mex, and with me today as always, DuckGuy.
Hello.
DuckGuy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you? I just finished up a scrim.
I'm doing quite well. It looks like we are going to be having a very special guest today, Reaperz from Prevail.
What's going on, guys?
Reaperz, buddy, how you doing today?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty good myself. Yes. Well, that was the intro. So with that being said, I'm gonna hand it off to Duck, and I'm gonna let him get into the real action here. Let's see what we got going for the standings.
I love you, Max. No, so we have the National Siege Conference standings. We're gonna go over the standings briefly. Check 6, formerly known as Chilled Reality, formerly known before that as Icon, has moved into 3rd place above God tier. My team actually just scrimmed God tier and we beat them.
Oh.
So yeah, not much change in the standings except for Check 6 moving up, so they're in 3rd place right now. If the playoffs did start today, it would be F6 in 1st place, still at a perfect 6-0 Shadow Gaming. 2nd place, 5-1-1 Check 6, and then God tier, New Horizons and Reborn, both one win away from Check 6 and God tier. And then Prime Elite, NT, 3D, Centurion, and PTSD rounding out the bottom. PTSD not actually in the league anymore, but those teams rounding out the bottom. And then we have the American Siege Conference standings. Reaperz, your team in this, Prevail, 5-1-0 at 16 points. 1 point above DBX, actually making a nice run, putting themselves into 2nd place above LGI. DBX has played one more game than LGI. Did LGI have a bye recently? You guys know that?
Nope, LGI lost against AR because of a huge amount of technical difficulties, and they were only able to play the game with 4 people at a time. So like they were not able to play to the fullest ability, unfortunately.
Was
so
that the
get beat by AR?
Was that the game from last night?
That was a game from last night that took like 3 hours, and it was super long.
Yeah, we're recording this on Saturday. It's Saturday, yep. Right? Yeah, it is Saturday.
It is. Speaking of, me and Skinny were casting the God tier game today, which God tier won that.
That was a lot of sexy voices, not gonna lie.
Excuse me. We take pride being some of the darker voices of Collective. One of the fun things we like.
Yeah, so unfortunate circumstances. I heard about that, but I wasn't around to watch that game. That game and the game before that I was playing in against Noxious, 2 of the longer games of the season. The one from last night took 2 hours, I believe. And our game against Noxious took around 1 hour and 45 minutes because we had a half an hour rehost because of like the Xbox things, like the invite glitch kept happening to everyone.
Yeah, Xbox been rough with that lately, man.
Yeah, we had like 4, always a consistent like 3 people had the invite glitch, like trying to restart their Xboxes, so we like couldn't get into the lobbies. And we finally got everyone in. So Reaperz, how are you guys feeling? I believe it's a little over the halfway marking of the season.
We're feeling good. The first half was a bit rough. We weren't, squatted up to our full potential. But, now that we're actually down to the second half of the season, we have everybody on, available, ready to play, and I feel like it's been showing. We've had, some good performances, bad performances. It's the beauty about Siege is it could be anybody's, game any day, and, looking at the standings now, it's nice to see, like, all these teams, with tons of points. I mean, you either go down to ML with 10 points. I mean, that's awesome. It's literally a fight to the finish, for these last couple of weeks, and it's really anybody's, opportunity to get into the playoffs. I mean, you figure you get 3 points a game, and, that can turn the tide for any team at any point, leading up into these last few weeks.
I think it's pretty safe to say that you and F6 are probably going to make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
even
doubt
if-
us not making the playoffs. I
Right.
truly
I mean,
believe
like,
that we were going to be in there.
Even if you guys were to lose like every game leading up to the playoffs, I still think you'd have a bottom tier bracket
Right.
of the playoffs. But you never know. Some of the teams may. I don't know if you decided to lose every game, some of the other teams might take your spot.
Right, and that's the thing. I mean, you never want to. I mean, you don't want to go into a game like, hey, we're already in the playoffs. You kind of don't want to let that get to you. You know what I mean? Like, you always want to play to win, no matter what.
Yeah, if you don't play to win, you'll crawl through the finals.
Right, exactly. And then you kind of get complacent, and you just kind of lose that mentality of the competitive edge that you might have potentially over another team who might be thinking the same thing. Like, hey, we're already in. Any edge that you can get against your opponent, whether it's mentally or just having that mindset of, going in there thinking, like it's okay if we lose. I don't really foresee that being a positive one. But, I mean, teach his own to anybody. It's just, we always go into the game thinking we're going to win, thinking we're going to, pull out rounds. And I never do it by, like, halves because I don't like to play that way. I always do it by individual rounds. So, like, what are you doing in those 3 minutes? That's influencing the round as opposed to, like, the map as a whole. I think that's far more important.
Yeah. Definitely.
Same can be said. Same could be said on the other side, towards teams that are thinking they're not going to make it to the playoffs.
Hi.
Yeah, teams that. Did you say hi?
Yeah, we're just chilling down there in 8th place. No,
it is.
We just beat God during scrims though.
Yeah, if you actually start, really starting to focus, get real serious about practice, like put your head into the game, you win every game from here on out. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but you might scrape a spot. One of the teams might be slacking in the bottom tiers. You might, if you make your way up the roster, it's not too late to crawl your way. I mean, if you're at the bottom, it's going to be hard, but it's not too late to crawl your way back up into one of those bottom placements for the playoffs.
I mean, look at our game, that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a hell of a game, dude.
Yeah, we have 2 clips from that game.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, man, I mean, that game, nobody could defend to save their life.
Yeah.
I just don't know what it was, man. I really just don't know. Like, dude, we were 5-1.
Yeah.
After the swap, and then, like, you guys brought it basically all the way back.
Yeah.
To 6-5. You know what I mean? For us to win, like on a final, like even with bomb down and everything. You know what I mean? So like, that's like I said, that's like the beauty of Siege. It's it's one of those games to where anybody can win any day. Like you never sleep on anybody just because of that specific reason. It's just teams are teams, and if they believe that they can win, and you get complacent, that's when mistakes and things start happening to be not in your favor.
Yeah, I remember, like, one thing I was just thinking that game, the first half of that game when we were on defense, I was just thinking in my head, they're just outgunning me every time. Starzy's just going to win every gunfight against me, and I'm not going to be able to do a single thing about it. And then this realist happened in the second half of the game when we were on offense. I go, these guys can't touch me. I'm just better. And it was a shift in mentality. It's kind of beautiful in Siege and how the game works, attacker, defensive. One thing I think pro play definitely hit the nail on the head with was the 6-6 defender attacker role swap and attackers attacking 6 rounds in a row. It's something I definitely love.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree.
Yeah,
and I like it going a little bit further, as far as round count goes as well.
Yeah,
I think that's important. It lets you kind of be flexible. Excuse me, with your sights, let you be flexible about like changing things up, trying to like read on what the attack or what the defense is presenting you, and you kind of get to do like mid-game adjustments, which is fun. That's always fun as like an IGL, trying to do those those certain things, and it's kind of like a chess match. You try to read what they're doing and you try to adjust accordingly. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's fun.
Yeah, I remember one thing Rogue said on that swap when you guys were up 5-1. He goes, "Everyone, mental reset. It's a new game. It's 0-0."
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and also, I believe now if we're done with the standings, we're going to be going into a couple clips from our game between Prevail and Miracle. couple good clips. This last one is from the final round of the game when Prevail was up 6-5. Miracle, we had just brought it back from a 5-1 deficit. This is the final round. If Miracle wins this round, it's a draw. If Prevail wins this, it is a win for them. And this is the final round. And we're just going to let it play out.
To be honest, I still think my team's going to make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, independent.
We've been no commentator.
It's like casting esports.
Yeah. Yeah. We've been kind of underdogs in the season so far, but I definitely think you guys are going to hear a lot more from us when it comes playoffs.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that we're probably going to hear from you.
Yeah, I think we can definitely hear you guys.
Yeah, for sure. You're gonna hear a lot more from us commentators. We are gonna make it to the playoffs, hands down. I can say that's safe.
It's basically a guarantee at this point, I think.
Yeah.
The psych hero of choice from Prevail was a top floor of Amper and Reaperz, C playing below, Envy opening up the wall with Tivana. And at this point, I think I was the IGL at this point. In my mind, I'm just thinking, okay, we're going to open up the wall and we're just going to go for a plant. That's been working every time. What do you think you were thinking in your head right now, Reaperz?
Well, you guys were super aggressive on the armory take, like every time. Like anytime we went armory, you guys would kind of really not push offices that much. So I knew that it was going to be an armory take. It was just the timing. I was just waiting for the callouts, the call out was made that the wall was open. I was getting tracked. I was still trying to, do what I had to do downstairs. But this pick right here on Amper was like probably one of the bigger picks of that round, like kind of like helping us with that, because if you think about it, Jackal was tracking me and he was just literally just waiting and waiting and waiting for me to rotate to the front, because you guys knew we had a pulse downstairs.
Yeah.
So at that point, you know what I mean? Because a couple rounds earlier, we actually killed our own teammate with a C4. So
we're gonna watch
mean,
that clip later.
Okay.
And at this point in the round, I'm gonna pause it with 1 minute left. Okay. So
did I cast this game?
Yeah, you and Racer did.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say, this looks a lot familiar. The biggest thing that I was confused at was, why was Hibana trying to plant in that smoke? That was such a big thing to me.
I think what we were thinking was, Envy thought he was gonna be able to get away.
Nope.
I think he actually got killed by the C4, actually, if you see in the kill feed. So we're gonna bap this up to 102. Envy gets down by the smoke and then finished by Reaperz C4 from below. I think, were you pulsing that from below?
Yeah, well, I wasn't pulsing, I just know the typical spot.
Yeah.
And the call was made that he was actually, because when you get smoked out, you can kind of hear that animation.
Yeah.
Somebody choking. So Skinny gave the call out that you guys were playing by door. So it's like the typical spot downstairs, in that little hallway at the bottom of metal stairs. So I just ran over there and chucked the C4 up. If I killed somebody, great. If I didn't, that's why you saw a little bit later on, I immediately rotated up metal stairs.
Yeah, you were sprinting.
Yeah, because at that point, I knew that the bomb had already been down. We still had the man advantage, and I just knew that I needed to get upstairs. And then at this point in time, my whole mindset was just play as aggressive as possible for my teammates' insight to defuse the bomb.
Yeah, and do you want to also, I think our positioning right now was, I was repelling on the balcony, Rogue was holding my run out, and then the Ying, I think was Hectic, was playing in CCTV trying to hold the bomb. Do you want to give us because a lot of happened there, especially with me repelling and holding the run out. Do you want to give us what was going through your guys' comms and stuff during that time with the Jaeger?
Yeah, so you're talking about right before the plant went down?
Yeah, because I'm the Thatcher repelling and Rogue's the IQ holding my run out. I don't know if you can see, if we back this up a couple seconds, Rogue's actually downed right here. And then he gets revived by me.
Okay, perfect. I'm glad that alright, so I actually remember this specifically. So, once Amper killed that Jackal downstairs, Skinny had, kind of gave the call out. We were feeling good getting that initial pick, plus it being the Jackal, and Riley was kind of fragging out. So, that was a huge pick for us. So, at that point, I knew that I knew I had to start making my way up towards, the front there. Amper never gave me the call out that the front door was open, which IQ was holding. So then that way I actually couldn't get to where I needed to go to actually make my toss up onto the like the typical plant spot. So I actually rotated in the hallway, if I'm not mistaken, and went to the bottom of metal and kind of just flung it up there. Like I didn't like, you know, play like get it perfect or anything like that. I kind of just chucked it up there. She would have died anyway from the smoke, so it was kind of like a precautionary measure, I guess. I was too late. The call out was given too late. Then immediately, once the bomb was down, we had 2 people down at that point, and it was basically I just told everybody in the site to just wait. Because if you see Valkyrie's all the way in offices, she has no impact on this round right now. Because bomb is down, and she's still in offices. She's probably on cams. But I just told everybody to wait, and wait for the people downstairs to make their way up so we can potentially have a chance to retake this. Because, you know, at certain times, once the bomb gets planted, the party kind of goes into, like, I don't want to say like a havoc, but, you know, people start, their hearts start to race. You know, people start getting antsy because they feel like they need to get to the bomb. Like, it's okay. Like, you don't have to get to the bomb immediately. You have 45 seconds to do that. So positioning on this is super important. So I just wanted myself and Amper to get back upstairs. And then basically I was just told the 2 people on site to basically wait and for us to flank into security. And I'm sure here, once you play the clip again, you'll see that a lot of us start making our way over to security.
Yeah, you start running there immediately right here.
Yes.
Hectic's
I mean,
outside.
Right, it's an armory plant, so I mean, people are either going to A, B, and CC or repelling. And I don't know. Oh, she was upstairs. Okay, there it is. Yeah.
And what
so
happened
that's where
here?
it was. Somebody, the IQ was still downstairs, and then I believe somebody else was still repelling, and Amber was able to kill the IQ outside the front door and kill you repelling, while Skinny got that final smoke kill. I believe it was onto Ying.
Yeah, what kind of happened with me and Rogue? So I had called out. So Riley died downstairs, and Envy was planting. I told Hectic to help me cover because I was covering from the repel angle, like those bars that you can see at the bottom of the screen right now, these triangles. And I told Rogue to hold my run out because he was IQing me the whole time, trying to watch for the C4 actually.
Right.
And
which is very smart.
Yeah, we were trying to IQ you the whole time, but Envy ended up dying to the smoke. And Rogue got downed, actually. I hopped off the balcony immediately to res Rogue. And then I think it was Amper. He just outgunned Rogue, and then I couldn't do anything because I was repelling.
Right.
Yeah, so a great, like, all happened at once, just like that from you guys.
Yeah, it was super fast. Like, the retake on it, like, I didn't think it was going to be, like, that fast we were able to retake. I think the biggest thing, like I said, was that pick onto the Jackal at the beginning of the round. Because he was just going to wait for me. Like, you guys had the right setup. It was just Amper was able to get that, you know, that first pick onto the Jackal, which kind of forced you guys to plant.
Yeah.
Maybe not when you were ready to.
Yeah.
Or without enough information or control. But then kind of, like, felt like we were able to feel a little bit more at ease in that situation because we knew that we had the Jackal off the board. We knew that we were feeling a little bit more comfortable downstairs, being able to move around a little bit, because we had no other intel that anybody was even in the building yet, other than potentially security.
Yeah. So yeah, very interesting round. Got very hectic there, and this is actually a couple rounds before, 3 rounds before actually, and this has to make its way into a not so top 10 eventually. I'm just gonna let the clip play.
You probably would have got. Oh, I remember this. I already know what it is before it even happened.
This clip's amazing. We were all so confused when this happened.
I was casting and I literally lost it. I was like, wait a minute, what?
And it's great from the overhead view that you had your cam set up right here.
Yeah.
It's like, Amper, why? Why did you do that? Like, he was right there.
The call out was correct. It was just the execution on the Pulse's end to actually just, you know, get that C4 out where it needed to be. He C4'd way too close to the wall.
Yeah.
So, like, downstairs in that metal hallway, like, so I know this, like, so that's C4, right? It's, like, probably the most typical C4 on this map, honestly.
Yeah.
It's like, this goes back to like Season 1 Pro League, like Z4.
Yeah.
You know, but I will say it's not, if you're in a rush and like it's one of those operators that you don't really play much, I can see you potentially doing that just because like in that hallway there's actually, I don't know if you like know this, but there's like 2 lights down there. And actually you can be right where the planter is, and if you throw it on those lights down there and you explode it, it will not kill the person planting the bomb. It has to be on the soft floor in between those lights for you to actually get the kill.
I think I know the lights you're talking about.
It looks like 2 lights that you would see like
A spotlight?
at like, well, yeah, they're kind of like on a grid ceiling. They're those kind of lights, like the long square lights. Yeah, there's 2 white ones down there in that hallway. Like they're not on or anything like that. It's just like map decoration. But if you actually throw them on those lights, it will not kill the bomb planter.
Oh.
It deters it from doing that. So if you ever throw a C4 from there, and you actually land it on like, you could tell by the color of it, and it's like its own little like section of the ceiling.
Yeah, that's
but it won't.
interesting.
Yeah, it won't kill the bomb planters. You actually have to get it on the soft floor for it to actually go through and kill the planter.
Yeah.
So I mean, that wasn't the scenario, obviously, on this one. And I will say, if you did notice, me and Amber actually swapped roles for the following round that we went to this site, as we saw in the last clip, because I was Pulse and he was the Jaeger. I just don't like people being too stagnant in their roles, so I like to switch up people's roles a lot, just because flexibility is super important as for a team, being able to flex onto other roles.
Whoops, sorry, boys.
That's okay.
And
We had a little bit of
there
trouble there.
goes Doug.
Okay, I'm back. We had a little bit of Discord trouble there. I accidentally put myself into collective voice chat
No, you're good, man.
when I was clearing my messages. Yeah, I just want to, like, me and Reaperz were talking about this before we started recording the podcast. Our comms were so confused at this very moment because we didn't even realize who you had killed. We realized it was the smoke later on when no smoke grenades came out.
Right.
But we thought like a Valkyrie killed like Jaeger or something playing on the bomb.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you should have heard our comms. It was just me repelling, and I go, Jaeger dead, I guess, on bomb. We were so confused who you killed.
I mean, looking back at it now, it's funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like in the moment, it wasn't funny. I mean, so I'll be the first to say I was super triggered. Not gonna lie.
I can
like,
imagine
I was
Skinny too.
Yeah, I mean,
pissed.
he was pissed. I was pissed. It was just like we were all just like triggered, and not to mention, I mean, you look at it. If the score was 6-2 at that point, and we were on like 6-1, so like that right there, we lose that round. Now it's 6-3. You know what I mean? You kind of get frustrated.
Starts.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of get frustrated because you know that you'd want to just, you know what you have to do to close it out. You know that you can close it out. It's just getting to that point, and like little things like that, like make and break rounds. Those little things. Like I said before when we were talking about, as far as like what you do in the round, like what are you doing in those 3 minutes that's influencing the round in a positive way. That's where those things come into play. It's super important.
Yeah, and we have now moving on from the clips, we have stats. A lot of work being put in from the stats team working on this. I'm myself one of the people working on this. I did the stats for Miracle versus Noxious. The one we're gonna look at actually is your game versus Farsight Gaming. You guys won this game
last week.
Yeah, 7-5. And something you were talking about earlier, it's what you do in those 3 minutes that matters to you the most, not what you did over a half and stuff. And that's kind of what cost is. I'm not going to go into details about how cost is created, just for stuff for the collective organization. But cost is basically a measure of how much you influence, what percentage of rounds you influence. So like Glitch here from Prevail, he influences 92% of rounds. That is a very high cost. An average cost is around 70%. As you see, Prevail's average cost is 72. Farside's average cost is 55. Then we also have the survival rate, kills per round, your KD, your headshot percentage, how many headshots you get, how many times you were the opening death, basically how many times you put your team at a 4v5, how many opening kills you got, if you're like the entry fragger or something, how many rounds are played, and then you have your kills, your KD ratio, how many times you clutched a 1vx situation, which includes a 1v1, how many times you have planted the bomb, how many times you've disabled the bomb, your most played operator on attack and defense, and the operator's banned, map played, and the map's banned. So, your reaction to all this stuff, guys?
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's cool to see. Yeah, it's a lot of work put into this, which is sweet. And I really like the cost, opening kills, opening deaths, those kinds of things. Those are important. The rest of the information is good, but for me, being like a IGL and stuff like that, those are the things that I would look at far more than probably most of the statistics on here, just because I keep mentioning the 3 minutes, but I'm probably gonna live and die by that. It's what you do in those 3 minutes that's really gonna help you win games, help you get to where we are right now. I put a lot of emphasis on those things, and obviously it shows in where we are in the standings, but it also shows on this stat sheet as well. You know what I mean? Like, just by looking at the numbers, it's they're good numbers.
Yeah. So someone like Starzy, now known as Glitch, I like the name change a lot. He influences rounds a lot. He has a very high KD. He also has a very high kills per round, but his survival rate is quite low. He only survives to the end of 25% of rounds.
Right.
Someone like Reaperz, however, influences the rounds a little bit less, gets a little less kills per round, gets a little less KD, but he survives the rounds more. And the same for like Profit. So this is very helpful for people like coaches, IGLs, the CEO of a team, if they want to find people that they want to pick up. Also, the most played attacker and defender. Opening kills for people like entry fraggers. Headshot percentage is a very good statistic. I actually did the statistics for like this game. Quiet had a 68% headshot rate. Insane. Had a 1.0 cost. Played insane that game. We unfortunately lost 5-7. But a funny thing, which this can really show a lot in a game, was we lost this game 5-7 against Noxious. However, we had a better KD. We had a positive KD over the entire team. They had a negative KD. We had a better cost. They had a lower cost. And it just happened to come down to they had 3 1v1 wins, which really came down to we just lost some unfortunate gunfights.
Right.
So this stats really do help teams such as like yourself, Reaperz, being the IGL. If you want to look at how a player is really performing, say like Amper in this game, he did if you want to look at someone who has a really low KD ratio, look at how much they're influencing their rounds.
Right.
Or like a support player, which is what cost really brings out in the players. How many times they've planted. Reaperz, you did that twice. You also won 2 1vx situations. That's a clutch factor. So Reaperz is a very clutch player. He can win on those pressure situations. Someone also like Reaperz hits a lot of headshots. They get a lot of kills. Glitch could be a very good entry fragger. He got 4 opening kills. So it really helps people like the coaches and the IGLs make their decisions on players if they need to change up their roster or anything. It can really help people when making those types of decisions.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. It's really good. It's a really good tool to work for your. That could definitely work for most teams, if not all teams, to see where certain players are sitting at. Maybe they're just in the wrong. Not that a player is bad, but maybe they're just in the wrong role. That happens a lot with teams. Not everybody doesn't need to be a fragger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not everybody needs to be a support player either. You need that that good balance, amongst like the roster and for your team to get wins and enable your team to put because a lot of it's based off of like temperament of the player as well. So like if a player is like in a certain role and they feel like that they should be in that role, but they're just not performing consistently. I mean, is it going to be sour for them if they get moved? Probably. But at the end of the day, what does the team feel about it? What is the overall performance of what you're getting out of that person in that new role compared to what you were getting out of them in the previous role that they were in?
Yeah. So these stats definitely help out people on making decisions on stuff. Any reactions you have to these stats for your recent game against Fireside Gaming?
Yeah. This right here just goes to show that at least I'm not gonna talk too much on our side's part of it. I'm actually gonna talk more on ours. This just goes to show that like a lot of our teammates, and I'm just gonna shout out Prevail Esports as a whole. The guys really put in the work and really do what they need to do to work hard in the roles that they're going to be fulfilling for that match. So like, I'll start with like Glitch, for instance. So Glitch and Amber,
Excuse me?
they have a lot. They like.
Can I say something real quick? Reaperz?
What's that?
Mex, can you say something real quick? Just for...
Bloop.
Okay, yeah.
Everybody good?
Yeah, you were just going a little bit of robot mode there. Okay, you sound good now. Okay.
Okay, cool. So like Glitch and Amber,
Much better.
they actually both have. So if you look at Glitch, he has 4 opening kills, and Amber has 1 opening kill. But they actually fulfill the same role on a team. So if you look at their operators, right? So on attack you have Zofia, and then you have Sledge. Those are more of a roam clear operator. And then if you look at like myself as Reaperz, Prophet, and Myth, they're more of a support operators. So you have like your flank watch, you have your plant support, and then you have your hard breacher. So in this scenario here, we started off on defense, on defense. So for me to see these opening kills as low as they are really doesn't trigger anything for me, just because we won the map 5-7 and we came over on the round swap 3-3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like you also got to factor that in. Like your opening kills isn't going to really justify unless you actually played 6 rounds on attack. So I can't be like, hey, Myth or whoever that didn't have any opening kills, like if you were like, for instance, my fragger, like why didn't you have any kills? Because this tool just can just go to show you just more than just they're more than just numbers, and you can actually depict so much more than just what your opening kills were. I'd just use that as an example because, like I said, we did defend first, so I'm presuming that their kills for opening kills are going to be far less than, for instance, Far Side. Which I guess this was a bad example because we both had 6, but I guess you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and I think part of it had to do with both of you played 6 attacking rounds.
Do you mind if I give a couple shout-outs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hit it.
Alright, cool. First off, I want to shout out Collective Esports. For making this possible, doing all these awesome things for all these console players. I think it's super important. I think it's definitely brought positivity back to console. So shout out to Collective Esports. Anybody who listens to this, make sure you guys follow, friend, contact. If you guys are interested, do whatever you need to do with that. Secondarily, I want to shout out Prevail Esports. Basically, just everybody who's involved. You guys are awesome. I ask a lot from you guys, but you guys put up with my intensity. I'll put it that way. And then shout out to you guys for doing this podcast. It's awesome.
Dun, dun, dun. Thank you. I
And
want to
if you
shout
guys
out my
could,
dad.
just follow our Twitter at @weareprevail_ on Twitter, and then Instagram as well. It's Prevail_esports with a Z. And then that's all I got.
Guys, make sure. Thank you for Reaperz for doing this podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. This was fun.
be sure to go follow Collective Esports on Twitter, on Instagram, where our standings are always posted. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitch. Be sure to like and subscribe and comment on YouTube, where this very podcast is being posted. I've been DuckGuy19. This has been Mex with Reaperz PV as our guest, and we'll see you guys next time.